Welcome back to Parsnips and Parsimony. Kids are playing games upstairs, so you may be hearing a lot of noise. They're having a good old time. But today I'm working on making some overnight stuffed French toast. So it's more of a deconstructed stuffed French toast. I had some ricotta cheese that I pulled out of the freezer and I need to use up. So this recipe seemed to fit the bill, and I thought I'd share it with you guys today. It's winter time here in the Northeast, and I had some eggs in the chicken coop that froze. So they got thawed out, but because the shells had cracked, we had to do something with them. So I went ahead and took 6 eggs and put them in this container along with about a half a teaspoon of vanilla, as well as some cinnamon and nutmeg. As usual, I did not measure. I just dumped it in until it looked like it was about the right amount. And then I have my 9x13 pan here. I'm going to add approximately 4 tablespoons of melted butter. And then I had some leftover Adirondack sourdough bread that I'm going to be using with this. And then I won't be using all of this ricotta cheese, but I have this ricotta cheese that I'm going to be using. And yeah, I think that's about all I need to assemble this. I'm just going to take the bread. I've spread the melted butter everywhere. Take this bread and see how much I can get in here. Let's see, I think I'm going to have to cut this one or use a smaller piece over here. There we go. Then I'm going to take some brown sugar, and I'm not measuring. I'm just going to take a little bit and then sprinkle it over the top like that. Not a whole ton, just a little bit of sweetness in here. It'll also help caramelize a little bit with that butter. So I'm gonna say that's maybe 1/3 of a cup, maybe. And then just sprinkle some cinnamon on here. I'm doing this with my left hand, so it might be more than normal. About that much. And then we're just gonna repeat these layers with the bread. So the bread, a little bit more brown sugar, and then some cinnamon, and probably end up doing 3 layers here. So that turned out to be about 2.5 layers to use that entire loaf of bread, and that was a 24-ounce loaf of bread. Use whatever you have on hand. It doesn't have to be sourdough. Anything that you have that's just kind of old and stale and you want to use up, this is a great way to use up those leftovers. So now I'm gonna whip up the egg batter that we're gonna pour all over the top of this, and then we'll let it set all night before I bake it in the morning. So I topped it off with that last little bit of brown sugar and then the cinnamon. Okay, so for our egg mixture, this is 6 eggs, approximately a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of vanilla. You know, I just dumped it in. And then the nutmeg and cinnamon, approximately a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon each. I did a little less on this because I already sprinkled this with cinnamon, so I didn't want to do overkill with the cinnamon. But to this, I'm going to add a 1.5 cups of milk, and then approximately 3/4 cup of ricotta cheese. I'm just going to kind of dump it in. Are you guys seeing a theme here? That's how I cook these days. So let's get this milk in here. And the milk is a little frozen, so it's going to be a little chunky. Come on. Get past those ice crystals. There we go. All that good. Give that a good stir. And then we're going to add some ricotta cheese. Guys, if you've ever tried to film and cook at this, try to do the same thing with just one hand, it is actually extremely difficult. We'll call that 1. This is a 1/3 cup measure, so this one's going to be a little less than a third. There we go. Put that in here, and we'll mix that up until it be good and mixed. How are we looking there? A few more clumps. You may see over here I have 2 other loaves of bread. This was an Italian bread. It got really hard. and I was going to use this, but it was just a little too hard. So I'm going to end up turning this into probably breadcrumbs. Just throw it in the food processor and then store it in the pantry until I make meatballs and use that for breadcrumbs. It didn't mold. It was like I said, it was an Italian bread that was in a brown paper bag, and it just dried out, and it's really hard now. So that would be a perfect use for just breadcrumbs for meatballs. But back to this. I think this looks pretty good. I'm trying to get most of those chunks. Remember, the ricotta cheese I had frozen, so it just has those last little pieces. If you're using fresh ricotta or you're using unfrozen or thawed ricotta, you won't have to worry really about those chunks. Okay, we'll call that good. And then I'm going to take this and slowly pour it all over the French toast, trying to get all the pieces of bread wet. I'm not doing a really good job today. Come on, gotta get over here. A little bit of ricotta there. All right, and that is it. I'm going to go ahead and put a lid on this. So I'm going to cover this with this reusable silicone lid. If you guys have never used one of these, I really suggest it. I really like this. A friend got this for me, and it works really well at creating a seal, and it keeps everything fresh and reduces the use of plastic wrap. And we're gonna just put this in the refrigerator and forget about it for overnight. It could be 8, 10, 12 hours, and we'll bake it in the morning at 350 until it's fully cooked. It'll probably take about 35, 40 minutes, and we'll serve it with maple syrup. But hopefully, you'll see that in just a minute from the magic of editing. And today's video is sponsored by Funmily. After eating a decadent French toast like we're going to be making, trust me, I'm going to need my under the desk elliptical. I've been using the elliptical every night while we sit down in the evening to do some work, and I'm really enjoying it a lot. My goal is to work my way up to being able to do a 5K this spring. So using the elliptical will hopefully help prepare me for that goal. We'll see how that all works out. Thanks so much for watching, and I will put the link to the printable version of the recipe down in the description below if you guys want to try this out for yourself. And we'll see you for our next video. Bye!